Your love, it feels so good, and that's what takes me high, higher than I've been before. Your love, it keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that your touch, it means so much. When I'm alone at night, it's you I'm always thinking of. Ooh, baby. I wanted to talk to you all about a topic that I feel is really interesting, and this is music and lyrics, and how I am a believer in music being here for timeless reasons, to reach people at certain vibrations or frequencies. And so I think even looking back on my younger years, it's almost like you wouldn't always know the lyrics, because I think that we were also just tuning into certain frequencies and how they made us feel. And it's an interesting concept to think about. I wanted to share more about my journey of understanding music and lyrics from a soul perspective, and how I believe that the way that we perceive music or understand music can actually give us a little bit of insight into our healing journey, and that journey of looking beyond ourselves or at our external environments, and how we are getting closer and closer to our internal selves and understanding ourselves. And we hear a lot about things like self-love and self-worth, increasing our value. And I think that these things can kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So especially for those who have had tarot healing sessions with me probably in the last 6 months to a year, well, you may not know because you haven't been getting readings from me all the time, but I'm sure some of you who have had readings with me more than once may notice some differences in the way that I've been doing these sessions. And what's interesting is I have been receiving more information in my meditations before these healing sessions. And even though I was kind of getting some lyrics and songs to come in before a reading, and I would, share that with the person, it's getting so much deeper than that. I don't ever like to say that I do parlor tricks or fortune telling type readings. However, there have been a lot of times where I have kind of foreshadowed something that happened months later, or maybe even a year later, and that has been a really cool experience. I've tapped into very specific songs for people, their physical ailments. I've felt people's sore throats. I've felt their dehydration. I don't ever promise that any of these things are going to come up, but it's really just kind of opening up and letting whatever is meant to come through. And I've just noticed that recently it has been a little bit more of a physical nature or a sensing nature. One client, I realized that I was seeing or feeling or sensing a recurring dream, and there's just been a lot of different things like that. So kind of bringing things back. And I feel like lately I've been recognizing a lot of things that have been life-changing, and I'm kind of at this point where I'm ready to just start sharing them more when I have the energy to do so. For purposes of not going on another tangent, many of you may have seen that I've really been focusing on training in human design and kind of adding that to my repertoire in a more enhanced way than I was previously doing it. And I'm going to start incorporating a little bit more into how I share my presence here on social media, and one of them being the projector type, which does not have sustainable energy sources. Part of my life theme is going in and out of my cave, processing things, understanding them very deeply, learning and mastering certain concepts, and then coming out and sharing them with the world. And so that's why I tend to kind of disappear and then come back, and disappear and come back. And I usually have some fresh perspective on the world when I decide to come back. And so one of the things lately is I've been called to share this idea of using lyrics to kind of gauge where you're at on your personal journey of, looking outside of yourself versus going within. And this specific song was very significant for me maybe a few weeks ago or so. It just kept playing through my head over and over, and it really wasn't a song that I, had a special connection to in any way, but now I do. And this song is It Feels So Good by Sonique, who started out in the UK, and the song became a hit in the US. And so I really didn't know anything about this artist. I kind of just vaguely knew this song, but not really well. Turns out she appears to be very much in the LGBT community, so no surprise there. And it's very much a song of freedom and connection. And so I feel like this song is really good to use as an example, because it can really be interpreted as involving a relationship. And a lot of songs that I feel like we connect to have to do with our relationships, because that tends to be something that is the most relatable for people, the most tangible, the most physical. And it's also a really good indicator as far as looking outside of yourself to fill some type of gaps, or seeking pieces of acceptance and love and belonging and all of those things outside of you, versus when you can go internal with it. And so I have the lyrics pulled up here if I kind of look like I'm looking off to the side, but it feels so good. You always make me smile when I'm feeling down. You give me such a vibe, it's totally bona fide. It's not the way you walk, and it ain't the way you talk. It ain't the job you got that keeps me satisfied. So a lot of times people would just automatically assign this to a relationship of some sort, or maybe a crush or something like that. And so you might think that the artist is talking about another person. And ever since I've kind of come to the realization that these songs are actually about ourselves, and in my opinion and in my interpretation, I believe that these songs are actually at their core meant to speak to our higher selves, meant to speak to our beings in a way that is internal. And so if you were to take this back and rethink of it in the context of a conversation with, the universe, spirit, your guides, your higher self, you'll start to see that this song takes on a whole new meaning. And when a certain song comes up, I always look up the lyrics and I listen to it, and I feel for if there's something there. And sometimes it's so subtle, it's really hard to catch on to, but you get better at it as you practice. And so when we take this song and we say, it feels so good, we can take it in the context of, it feels so good to be connected to myself again. It feels so good to have a conversation with my higher self, or the universe, or my angels, or, X, Y, and Z. You always make me smile when I'm feeling down. You give me such a vibe, it's totally bona fide. So just kind of sit with that and think of what that might mean in the context of talking to your higher self, or your spiritual guidance of some sort, again, depending on your belief systems. Then when we say it's not the way you walk, and it ain't the way you talk, it ain't the job you got that keeps me satisfied. This can also be kind of a play with your higher self telling you that the satisfaction isn't just about the material things. And when we're talking about the way you walk or the way you talk, this can also be changed when you have more confidence in yourself and when you raise this. Then we start getting into the chorus, I think. So your love, it feels so good. So when you feel the love of your higher self, your inner child, your spiritual guides, whatever that is, it feels so good. Your love, it feels so good. And that's what takes me high. Right? That connection to self. Higher than I've ever been before. Your love, it keeps me alive. Thought I should let you know that your touch, it means so much. When I'm alone at night, it's you I'm always thinking of. So again, I believe in our younger years, it's a lot more tangible to think of this as another person outside of us, maybe a crush or a partner. But when we take this entire thing, we can still apply it to that conversation with our higher self and the love of the universe, the love of feeling supported, the love of your higher self, that everything is working for you, even in challenging times, even when things are difficult. That love is what keeps you alive. That is what keeps you from being alone at night. When you have that sense of connection, you are never truly alone, whether there's a physical being around you or not. And when we talk about your touch, it means so much. That can have so many meanings, just as everything else. And this can be like feeling that sense of connection can be a form of touch. For some folks who are more sensitive, maybe they even feel a physical presence around them. I know I personally have felt that before, and it's very powerful. And in any of those moments that I have felt that presence, I have bawled my eyes out for no apparent reason. And I say that with air quotes. It is just this overwhelming sense of feeling loved and protected, and it's such a beautiful feeling, and that is a form of feeling touched, right? And it's you I'm always thinking of, is putting yourself first, right? So this is, again, taking the conversation away from that external and bringing it internally. So you can see how powerful these songs can be as we are learning how to shift it away from external, from the other, from needing something outside of ourselves, and understanding that we have it internally and that we can access this at any time when we have intention, when we have trust, when we have belief, when we have faith, all of those things. And when we can allow ourselves to open up and allow our hearts to open up to that. Now, for some of you, you may be thinking easier said than done, and absolutely 100%. And that is where at times, sometimes I'll listen to these songs multiple times. A lot of times I always suggest to folks that I work with to find a quiet space that feels safe, that you're not going to be disrupted. Let other people know that you need some time to yourself and to not disrupt you. I prefer putting, AirPods or headphones in where you can really just absorb all of the music and let your body kind of feel the song and feel into the music. And so sometimes you might play it a few times, and when you tap into those feelings, like, you can have the most profound experience and see life in a totally different way that you never thought was possible, even with a song that may have been significant to you since you were younger or for decades. So I'm going to go to one more section because everything else is just kind of repeating from that point. But this is, oh, I want you to understand how I feel deep inside. Oh, you make me feel all I need to feel, yes, in my heart. So I'm sure you can start to catch on to the meaning behind this, but wanting you to understand how I feel deep inside. Again, we're taking that away from this being wanting somebody else to understand you, wanting somebody else to accept you and to understand how you feel and to empathize with you and all of those things. And being able to find that from within the heart, and finding that ability to validate yourself, to know that no one else has to understand you, and it is about your own truth and it is about your authenticity that really matters. So all I need to feel, yes, in my heart, like, that is everything. So I hope for those of you who are kind of exploring a wide range of emotions right now, whether it be anger, grief, fear, sadness, love, openness, abundance, whatever these feelings are, and this can change at any time, I hope you might find ways to see music or listen to music in a different way that has so much more meaning than when you're just applying this to somebody outside of you and seeking this from someone else to fill what you have not been able to fill yourself. And I want to encourage you that it is possible to fill those gaps by yourself, and you can do it. It is possible, and it's a process. So even if it doesn't happen right away, don't give up. And yeah, let me know what you think about this, and I hope to provide you more content just like this. And so take care of yourselves. Bye.